The strongest characters in One Piece made a name for themselves, with a few even carving their place in history. Others were crazy enough to desire world conquest, and 15 of them had one thing in common. They all had the D. D's nuts! I mean the will of D. And what if I told you there's even a father and son duo who wanted to rule the world? Now that is a big D move. But wait, does it actually mean, does the D stand for domination? Or does it mean something else entirely? Like when Rosinante, Law's mentor, mentioned something really important that could hint at the possible meaning of D. It's also interesting that aside from the Nefertari family, Law's family kept his full name a secret. His full name being Trafalgar D. Water Law. That was new for me, I didn't even know it had a water in it. Like the Nefertari, someone in Law's clan probably knew the true meaning of D, just like Lily. When Law revealed his first name, Rosinante immediately warned him about the potential threat Law posed, because celestial dragons and the D clan are natural enemies. Rosinante knew this because he and his brother Doflamingo were celestial dragons. In chapter 764, Rosinante explained that back in their hometown of Marijoa, children were scolded into behaving with the warning, if you don't behave, you'll be gobbled up by a D. Well, of course this is just an exaggeration, but this tells us one important thing. The world nobles truly considered the D clan as monsters or demons. This belief could actually lead to something crazy. Like what if the D clan are the actual gods? In this case, D might stand for Deus, which is God in Latin. So does this also suggest that the will of D means the will of God? And at some point, the celestial dragons usurp the D clan's title. So if D represents Deus, it suggests that characters with this initial might have a divine purpose or destiny. They could be chosen by a higher power to battle the false gods. Because you know, the Gorosei and Imu don't look like gods. Especially after when we saw their transformation. Unlike Luffy, who actually looks like a god. And guess what? By the end of the video, I'm gonna tell you about the one character who actually unlocked the true meaning of D. But aside from that, D could also mean something way more important, because it has been revealed throughout the series multiple times, and it could be heavily connected to Joy Boy, and that is Dawn. Here are 3 reasons why it could mean Dawn. Number 1. The first chapter in One Piece was named Romance Dawn. Number 2, the Minx, like Cat Viper, mentioned that he's the one who waits for the dawn of the world. The same as Pedro when he said, the day of the dawn of the world is near. Number 3, Momo's mom. Toki even said in her prophecy that someone will bring a new dawn. So Oda using dawn so many times shows how important this is. And since dawn also symbolizes the sun, there's a chance that this is linked to Joy Boy. Especially since there's a theory that the name of Joy Boy's crew is known as the Dawn Pirates. And since Joy Boy was a first pirate, Lily could have joined his adventures, helping her scatter the poneglyphs. If this theory is true, then there's a chance for Vivi to join the Straw Hats again to settle an old score. But one of the most popular and craziest meanings of D is dreams.
I'll be king of the pirates!
While most pirates dreamed of becoming the Pirate King, our boy Monkey D. Luffy is D for different. Obviously he wanted to be the king of the pirates, but not for wealth, fame, or power. He didn't even want to conquer anything, rather to achieve something even greater, to become the one who is the most free. Surprisingly, in chapter 1060, Luffy pointed out that being the Pirate King was actually just a stepping stone for him to achieve his ultimate dream. But does anybody even know what Luffy's dream is? And what if I told you that I know what it is? Or what it could be? So check this out. I found this crazy theory on it, suggesting that Luffy's dream doesn't just affect him, but changes everyone's life in the world. Here's how it goes. According to this subreddit, we need to start by considering 3 things about Luffy's goal. First, it's the same as Roger's dream. Rayleigh and Shanks even said they see their captain in Luffy when our boy explained his reasons for wanting to be king of the pirates. Second, Luffy's dream is childish and funny, since he had this even when he was a kid. And when he told Shanks, Sabo, and Ace about it, they just laughed at Luffy. Even his crew had the same reaction when they found out. And thirdly, there's an underlying reason that makes his dream very incredible. So much so that Chopper cried when he heard it. Usopp thought it was impossible to achieve. Robin didn't laugh and was left speechless when she heard it. Just like Odin didn't laugh when Roger shared his dream with him. So Roger and Luffy might have shared the same dream. Some even speculate that Joy Boy had this dream too. And it might sound silly, but it clearly has to do something that leads to freedom and equality. No? Because of this dream, Luffy hated villains who restrained people from their freedom, like Kaido who oppressed Wano. And since Luffy was all about freedom, when he awakened his devil fruit, he became an actual god that literally embodied liberation, the sun god Nika. Actually, even before Luffy awakened, we saw in his early adventures how he liberated multiple islands, towns, and even nations like Drum Island, Arabasta, Fishman Island, Dressrosa, and many more. But what I really like about Luffy is, he's not a selfish guy, with just his own dream. He also wants his crew to chase after their dreams too. All his crewmates have their own goals, like being a brave warrior of the sea, finding the All Blue, drawing a map of the entire world, or becoming the greatest swordsman. Whatever their dream is, Luffy supports them. Even if his friends have conflicting goals, like Kobe who wants to become a marine, Luffy still supports him, even though it means they'll be enemies. Now aside from that, Sun God Nika is also a legendary symbol of joy, a symbol of hope, especially for those who were enslaved and mistreated by the world government. And because of Nika's massive influence and ridiculous powers, the world government actually used everything in their power to hide Nika's identity. In chapter 1018, Who's Who revealed that he first heard about the White Warrior from a guard at Impel Down. After telling the story, the guard mysteriously disappeared, leaving Who's Who even more curious about the Sun God. In chapter 1044, it was said that the Gorosei have been attempting to recover Gum Gum Devil Fruit for 800 years, but not once have they ever succeeded. And since Zoan Devil Fruits have a will of their own, the Hito Hito no Mi has been dodging the Gorosei and the world government till it ultimately found its destined user, Luffy. The Gorosei experienced Nika's powers firsthand when they were all forced to assemble on Egghead to fulfill their mission, killing Vegapunk. And although they are literally monsters who want to control everything, Luffy's very existence is a threat to the world government's plans. Just like his dad, Monkey D. Dragon. Due to Dragon's role, D might symbolize something deeper than dreams, and that is destiny. All characters that bear the name of D are destined to fulfill something, just like Dragon, who might be destined to free the world. Because you see, he was a former Marine who couldn't stand the treatment of the world government towards its people. So Big Daddy started a force that directly challenges the world government, the Revolutionary Army. Maybe that's what the D really stands for. Daddy. Anyway, Dragon's ideology has spread to many nations around the world, causing them to rebel against the world government. That's why Dragon is also known as the world's worst criminal. And the government is still searching for him because he's a man of mystery and no one knows much about him. Even his powers are unknown. But there are two crazy theories that Dragon's abilities might actually come from a mythical Zoan. The first theory is that Dragon's fruit is so overpowered because it is inspired by a Hindu god of the winds, known as Vayudeva or Pavanadevta, who's actually also the father of the monkey god in Hinduism you might have heard of before, Hanuman. Did you know that according to Road to Laughdale Volume 4, Gear 5 was actually inspired by Hanuman as well? Side note, Hanuman is actually known for a specific story that might also relate to Luffy. It is said that Hanuman was extremely mighty even as a child, and during his childhood, he once mistook the sun for a fruit, and so he flew all the way to the sun and tried to eat it. If you remember, something like this also happened with Luffy. He accidentally ate a devil fruit of the sun when he was a kid. Now, the second and the most famous theory about Dragon's devil fruit is the Ryuryu no Mi model, Amaru. Amaru is a serpent dragon from Inca mythology that has the power to bring rain and wind. On top of that, it depicts a revolution, symbolizing the wind of change, which is basically Dragon's resolve. Plus, Amaru has a pattern on its tail that looks exactly like Dragon's face tattoo. What's also interesting is, there's a real historical figure named Tupac Amaru. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That Tupac, whose name means shining serpent. He led the last group of Incas who resisted Spanish rule. So the name Tupac Amaru is also a symbol of rebellion, just like Dragon. Also, keep in mind that the true enemy of the Revolutionary Army is not the world government, but the celestial dragons who control it. This is because the entire government is made up of multiple nations and kingdoms. Take for example Alusha, where the revolutionaries successfully overthrew the ruling family and freed its people. Dragon mentioned that they had already influenced a dozen kingdoms and led 8 successful revolutions. But as you know, the world government won't just sit tight and let Dragon's plans move forward. Imu surprisingly took countermeasures into his own hands and ultimately erased the whole kingdom from the world in just a matter of seconds. Vegapunk also mentioned in his broadcast that this could only be fueled by the Mother Flame. The flame he created was used to activate an ancient weapon. Could it be Pluton? No, because that one is deep in Wano. And it's definitely not Poseidon because that's our girl Shirahoshi. So it could well be Uranus.
Nami?
With this huge scale of power though, bringing down the world government won't be a walk in the park for Dragon and the revolutionaries. That's why even though Dragon went full Ging Freaks mode on Luffy when he just literally left him with his grandpa Garp, Dragon probably still needs the support of his son, who has the most ridiculous power in the world. Which is kind of crazy because Dragon and his son are both symbols of freedom, even the granddad, Monkey D. Garp. Just like his son and grandson, Garp also highly values freedom. Why? Grandpa knew the world nobles suck, and that you have to give them Hawk 2s constantly. Working under them would cost him his freedom, and Garp's sense of morality never allowed him to believe the celestial dragons deserved VIP protection. Now, unlike Dragon, who wants to overthrow the celestial dragons and change the world government, it's possible that Garp wanted to make a change from the inside. That's why there's a theory that he even founded a secret organization with 2 other powerful Marines. This group is made up of some soldiers who went rogue by leaving the messed up structure of the Navy, yet ultimately serving justice for people. And that secret organization is SWORD. Just to make sure you remember, SWORD is a group made up of Marines who've officially submitted their resignations, but can still do missions even without the approval of higher-ups. However, the Navy takes no responsibility for their actions. And it was speculated that Garp was one of the leaders or founders of SWORD, along with Sengoku and Tsuru. Here's the proof. Number 1. Rosinante aka Corazon did undercover work for Sengoku. Number 2. Tsuru's granddaughter, Koijaku, is a member of SWORD. Number 3. Kobe, Garp's apprentice, is a member as well. And since Aokiji is also Garp's student, there's a chance that Aokiji might actually be a spy in Blackbeard's crew, and the part where Kuzan beat the heck out of Garp might have just been an act. Well, at least I hope that's true, because I really liked Aokiji.
Another very sexy lady with super big bazongas. Are you free tonight?
You watch your
Some fans also pointed out that the reason for the creation of SWORD is to stand as a counterpart to Aegis or Cypher Pole, which is an interesting symbolism if you noticed here from Greek mythology. Aegis is a shield or a breastplate, which is the opposite of a sword. Like if the Aegis works for the world government, cleaning up all the mess and doing all the shady operations, SWORD on the other hand upholds the true justice of the Navy, even if it means they're abandoning their Marine code. That means unlike Dragon, who was a former Marine, it's possible that Garp wanted to make a change from the inside and still use the Navy's justice for the people. The only problem is, if Garp had to choose between the Marines or his family, just like what happened with Ace in Marineford, imagine if this happened with Dragon. Do you think there's a chance Garp would betray the world government? Like his former comrade, Jaguar D. Saul? This giant was a former Marine, actually a vice admiral, which is the 3rd highest rank in the Marines. But Saul quit the Navy because their actions defied his sense of justice. While he was on Ohara, Saul tried to protect Robin from the world government's most ruthless operation that could literally wipe out an entire island, known as the Buster Call. With this, Ohara was destroyed, everyone was killed, and even Saul, who was frozen by Aokiji, sacrificed himself to protect Robin. But later, it was revealed that Saul survived the Buster Call and managed to save the books from Ohara. There's also an interesting theory that Saul might be the man marked by flames. In chapter 1066, he was seen covered in bandages, probably from the worst burns he got while protecting the research from Ohara. A few chapters later, Blackbeard explained that the man marked by flames is said to have one of the red poneglyphs. According to Shiryu, he guessed that this mysterious man is working for the government. Since Saul used to work for the government, there's a chance that he's the same person. However, what makes it a bit confusing is when Laphite mentioned that the man actually rides in an all-black ship and might also have a devil fruit power that creates a gigantic vortex. If Saul had a devil fruit that can create a whirlpool, then why didn't he use that power to protect Ohara? But because of Saul's sacrifice and actions, fans believe that what if D means someone who doesn't fear death? I mean, think about it. Jaguar D. Sol told Robin to laugh while he was frozen by Aokiji. Ace died with a smile on his face when Bro became a donut. And his mom, Portgas D. Rouge, smiled when she finally gave birth to Ace. I mean, who wouldn't be relieved after being pregnant for 20 months? Am I right? And since most of them died smiling, there's also a chance that D might actually symbolize a smile. Or maybe they're just high. One of the first bearers of the will of D from 800 years ago is Nefertari Lily. In chapter 1085, Imu himself revealed that the Queen of Alabasta was actually responsible for sparking the interest of Ohara scholars, and even pirates seeking poneglyphs for treasures. This wouldn't have happened if Lily hadn't scattered all the poneglyphs around the world. But how did she do that? Well, it seems Lily must be the OG user of the pop-off route, because that's the only way she could have possibly transported the poneglyphs so easily. Let me make it make sense. Remember when Kuma used his powers on the Straw Hats? He easily separated them and sent them off to different islands. The thing is, those places weren't random. It was revealed in chapter 1099 that he had traveled to those islands before. So if that's how the Devil Fruit's power works, could it be possible that Lily traveled all around the world, visiting the places where she sent the poneglyphs? Now, we can't say for sure because the limits of the Nikyu no Mi's abilities weren't fully explained. But what if I told you that there's another crazy theory that suggests Lily actually has visited those places before, because she was able to travel the seas when she joined Joy Boy's crew? You heard that right, bro. Joy Boy was actually the first pirate, possibly because he continued to oppose the other nations even after he and the Great King were defeated. And Lily, despite being part of the first 20 families who led the fight against the mysterious Great Kingdom, got fed up with how the world government was created and decided to leave and join Joy Boy. You see, the first 20 royals who formed the empty throne for the government moved to Merijua to become the first a-holes. The first celestial dragons. Except for the rep from Alabasta. Lily didn't actually change her address, and the world government was led to believe that she safely returned home. However, in chapter 1084, when King Nefertari Cobra talked with the Gorosei, he revealed that the former queen went gone girl, vanished. Her younger brother took the throne in her place. On top of that, there were no records of Lily in history after she went AWOL. So it kind of makes sense that Lily could have sailed the seas and messed with the government, like when she scattered those poneglyphs, which Imu said was the worst possible outcome for them. Before Cobra could continue his question about the D and Lily's final letter to Alabasta, Imu appeared in front of them and casually flexed by sitting on the empty throne, leaving the king of Alabasta dumbstruck. Luckily, before he died, he was able to leave Sabo with Lily's message and reveal that their family also has the D. Now that the secret's out, it means Cobra and Vivi also inherited the will. And you won't believe what I found about Vivi. She might have a very important role that'll have a huge impact on One Piece that I'll reveal in a bit. So in chapter 1083, Cobra told his guards, wait, let me solo these mofos. Then Cobra slapped Gorosei with some history and asked for information about his ancestor Lily. They didn't give a straight answer because they honestly didn't give a damn. So he switched it up and asked, what does the D mean? He also mentioned a secret letter that was passed down in the Nefertari family, written by Lily herself. Then Imu showed up to answer Cobra's question, saying D is the name of those who opposed them. And since the world nobles view themselves as divine beings, this makes the D clan enemies of the gods. That's why D might stand for devil, since in many stories the devil is God's enemy. But the thing is, what's up with Imu having all those Lily pics? That's kinda sus. He even had an image of Vivi. Could this guy be in love with Lily and she broke his heart 800 years ago? And now he's simping over Vivi? What a weirdo. By the way, Kumar, that's you. If you're wondering whether Imu is a man or a woman, there's a theory that Imu is actually a man. In chapter 1013, when Vegapunk said, I understand too little about him to begin with, the bolded him hints at something deeper. With Saint Saturn's reaction, it seems like Vegapunk is referring to Imu. Plus, all world nobles get the title saint. In Japanese, it changes to a suffix. For men, it's sei, and for women, it's gu. This was actually shown in chapter 497. Saint Roswald has the kanji sei, while Saint Shaldria has the gu. Fast forward in chapter 1086. You'll see Ivankov mentioned Imu sei. So this could mean Imu is a man. And what if I told you that I did some deep research and discovered something very crazy? Sei and gu aren't specifically for males and females. Oda is just using sei for male celestial dragons and gu for females. According to the Japanese dictionary, sei is a common word for saints, sages, or monks. And if you read this kanji alone, it will read as Miya, meaning shrine, constellations, palace, or princess. However, don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean Imu is actually a man. Imu could simply identify as a man, just like Yamato. Now here are two interesting theories I found about Princess Vivi that will literally change everything. The first one is, Vivi could be the next leader of the world government, aka the supreme ruler. Imagine this, after the Straw Hats or the Revolutionary Army take down the 5 elders and Imu, the world government will be in chaos without their leaders. This is where Vivi steps in to lead the government. And here are 3 reasons why she'd be the perfect ruler. First, her ancestry and inherited will make Vivi a natural candidate for leading a reformed government. Second, throughout the series, Vivi has shown strong moral values and a deep care for her people. Third, she has powerful allies at her back, including the Straw Hats. To be honest, even though Vivi might be a great leader in the future, I think it'd be better to let the world be governed by multiple countries equally. That was the actual plan in the first place, but everyone got scammed by Imo and the Gorosei. The second theory is, Vivi will get the power of the pawpaw fruit. In SBS Volume 59, a fan noticed something crazy and pointed it out to Oda. So if you assign numbers to the Straw Hat Devil Fruit users, based on the Japanese names, it covers numbers from 1 to 10. Like Luffy's Gomu Gomu fruit, which is 5656, while Chopper's Hito Hito fruit is 110, 110. Then there's Robin with her Hana Hana fruit, 8787. And finally, Brooke's Yomi Yomi fruit, 4343. All numbers are mentioned except for 2 and 9. But if you look at Nikyu Nikyu, the Paw Paw fruit, it's 2929. Now wait, since Kuma still has his power, does that mean he will die? And since Vivi will, somehow join the Straw Hats again, will she inherit Kuma's devil fruit? What do you think? Now aside from these good guys, even villains possess the will of D. One of them is a man who's insane enough to kill his own friends and allies. He's been moving through the shadows, executing well-calculated plans. He even obtained 2 powers, one that can devour anything, and another that can destroy the world? The man is obviously Marshall D. Teach, aka Blackbeard. After he built a massive and powerful crew, you wouldn't believe what was revealed in chapter 1107. One of Teach's Titanic captains, Van Augur, finally exposed what they're really after, and that is the world. The entire world. Which is actually the same goal as one of the legendary pirates in history. That's why Blackbeard might be the son of that legendary pirate. To strengthen this claim, Katarina Devon mentioned that Teach is special. Even Saint Saturn is aware of it, saying the same goes for Blackbeard's bloodline. Considering these 2 mysteries about Teach being a special human and having a special bloodline, he could be Rox D. Zebek's son. And here are 2 crazy proofs. Number 1, Blackbeard named his ship the Saber of Zebek. Number 2, after the Rocky Port incident, he made Hachinosu the headquarters of the Blackbeard pirates, the same place where the legendary Rocks pirates were formed. He even wants Hachinosu to be recognized by the world government as the Blackbeard Kingdom. Now just like Luffy, who's following Roger's path to become the king of pirates, Blackbeard probably wants to follow Zebek's dream of conquering the world to honor his father. Another notable trait common among the D clan is their strong influence. Even though Teach can be shiesty, he still has the charisma. He even has a major supporter who wants to join his crew as one of his goons, the sneaky hitchhiker, Caribou. Here's why this guy's importance is so under the radar, because of Oda's genius. Caribou might be a crucial part of Blackbeard's plans to conquer the world, because he's been leaking information about the locations of 2 ancient weapons, Poseidon and Pluton. And I just realized another thing that lines up as well. If Garp defeated Zebek and the Rocks pirates, it's probably going to be reinvented in a showdown between Garp's grandson, Luffy, and Zebek's wannabe son, Blackbeard. And Luffy has another reason for fighting Blackbeard too, because this guy is responsible for the death of Luffy's brother, Portgas D. Ace. He was fearless, just like everyone else with the D in their name, never backing down no matter what. Like before Ace joined the Whitebeard Pirates, he challenged the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard himself, even though their strength was leagues apart. And even when he was completely overpowered by Blackbeard, Ace didn't give up. Then, when he saved his little bro, even though he knew he might die, it didn't matter. Just like most with the D, Ace died with the biggest smile. Yet, did you know there's a chance that Ace might come back? And it's not what you expect. Also, it's not the same as what I explained in this video. So, here's how it goes. There's a theory that Ace might return. Not magically revived like Itachi or something, but as a clone, a seraphim clone. I know it might sound impossible, but it's not. You see, almost every warlord had a seraphim clone. Vegapunk even copied the devil fruits of other pirates like Daz and Senor Pink. This is possible as long as you have the user's bloodline elements. Meaning, even if a character is not a warlord, you can clone them as long as you have their blood. Since Daz and Senor Pink were also sent to Impel Down just like Ace, Vegapunk or the world government might also have Ace's blood. But there is one problem. In chapter 1070, Vegapunk mentioned that Logias are difficult to copy, unlike the Paramecia. Since Ace had the Mera Mera no Mi, his clone won't be exactly the same because he could have a different devil fruit. However, that can be compensated by the Lunarian DNA, meaning Ace's clone can still generate flames. Another interesting thing about Ace is that he was an outcast all his life and considered a threat simply because he was the son of the king of the pirates, Goldie Roger. That's why he denied his dad's name and took his mom's, Portgas D. Rouge. She is a prime example of a member of the D clan who displayed sheer willpower when she literally held Ace in her belly for 20 months. Damn. When Ace was born, he was probably like Chuck Norris, just walking right out of the womb. I mean, bro was a year old already before birth. So she delayed her labor to deceive the Navy and the world government about any connections with Ace's father, Roger. During that time, the Marines tried to execute every kid on Barbarella Island who could possibly be the Pirate King's child. After the Navy took their noses off the island, she finally gave birth to Ace. Due to the long pregnancy and the exhaustion of labor, she eventually died, leaving her son in the care of Roger's rival turned friend, Garp. Now, Roger was the most mysterious and important character with the Will of D, because he's the man who actually unlocked its meaning. Because Roger and his crew achieved something that no one else has. They are the only ones in the world who were able to learn these mysteries. Vegapunk revealed in chapter 1016 that the Pirate King's crew were the only ones to uncover the truth about the Void Century. When the Roger pirates reached the final island, Laugh-Tale, the world gave Roger the title of Pirate King, making him Gol Dog Roger. Even in his death, he stirred another storm, inspiring thousands, maybe millions of pirates worldwide to uncover the secrets and become the next Pirate King. Now here's something interesting. Did you know in Odin's diary, he wrote that the Roger pirates learned the entire truth of the world, the Void Century, the ancient weapons, and even the D clan. And I'm going to tell you why Roger purposely didn't do anything with the One Piece. Because despite gaining power, fame, and all that knowledge, Roger said that they were actually ahead of their time. That means that even though they unlocked the mysteries of the Void Century after getting their hands on the One Piece, they probably didn't have the power to act on it or change the world with it. Roger even said that in a few years' time, someone would be born and surpass them. And let me tell you what Roger could have said to Shanks when he started crying like this. Roger likely told him that it wasn't his time yet, and that he would die before the world's mysteries could be fully understood. He probably shared crucial insights with Shanks, asking him to guide the next generation to uncover and act upon the world's secrets. I think that's why Shanks and his crew snatched the Hito Hito no Mi. They knew how powerful it was, and its big role in the future. Since Zoans have a will of their own, Shanks was probably just waiting for the fruit to choose its owner and find the next Joy Boy. And maybe it was the fruit that unlocked the chest so Luffy could eat it. It also makes sense that Shanks just recently joined the hunt for One Piece after the events in Wano, because Nika, the key to the secrets and mysteries of the world, is now finally awakened in Luffy. He's been waiting all this time. But is Shanks really trying to guide Luffy? Or is this red-haired pretty boy planning something else? Now, there was a man who was the exact opposite of Roger. His ambitions were way darker than anyone else's. This pirate was on a completely different level. He was Roger's first rival and greatest enemy, to the point that Roger and Garp had to team up to take down this monster. That pirate is Portgas D. Zabek, the guy who dreamed of ruling the world. That is why D could also mean domination. Zabek was ruthless. He didn't give a damn about killing everyone in his path just to gain power. Whether it was Celestial Dragon, their slaves, or even his own crew. Big Mom even told Kaido not to trust Rocks because he was a scoundrel. And just like most characters with the Will of D, Zebek used his own charisma to gather the most legendary pirate crew that ever existed throughout history. He also caused a storm, like Roger, but not of dreams, more of fear. This guy's so evil that the world government destroyed and buried all records about Rocks and his crew. But aside from domination, D could also represent something much darker, literally, because it's the opposite of dawn. Since the sun and moon are featured in the series, D could actually symbolize a half moon. And just like the sun, the moon is also connected to multiple characters in the story. For example, Enel literally flew himself to the moon, and the Lunarians, whose name comes from the Latin word lunaria, meaning moon-like. The Minks also harness powers from the moon. But the most interesting connection is Toki's prophecy in chapter 973, where she mentioned, "You are the moon, unaware of the dawn." More importantly, Toki was a time traveler from the Void Century, and many theories suggest she's connected to Joy Boy. But what does the moon mean? Well, it can actually be tied to two villains in One Piece. The first is Blackbeard, since the moon has multiple phases, and there's a theory that this might represent his multiple personalities. However, that's just a surface theory. I've discovered something much deeper. Since Oda loves playing with words, I found something amazing connected to the Gorosei. According to the Japanese dictionary, Gorosei actually means a star, any light-emitting or reflecting heavenly body, except for the sun and the moon. So if Nika is the sun god, who is the god of the moon? So there's a chance it could be another villain, and that is Imu of the Nerona family. And since D might also symbolize the moon, does that mean Imu was also a D? Nerona, D, Imu? I mean, why not? It has a nice ring to it. But if this is true, does that mean Imu changed his name? It could be. Imu might hate or deny the Will of D because of family issues or because of what Nefertari Lily did in the past. And what's even crazier is, what if Imu and Lily were actually part of Joy Boy's crew? And at some point, the Sun God and Moon God were allies 800 years ago. Maybe Joy Boy's dream clashed with Imu's ambition, which pissed him off and started a war, leading Imu to start hating pirates.